And a happy, happy Thanksgiving out there to the listeners of Kevin's Corner. We are back. Kevin Bowen, Chris Presley. The Colt. When your NFL team is in the hunt and it's Thanksgiving, it is a good time to be a fan of that team.
Yes, it is.
Very good time. Colts are in that situation right now. A huge one on Sunday. Massive, Chris. It is, look at all the numbers, man. You win, and it's a 80-something% chance to win the division. You lose, and it's a 15-some% chance to win the division. It's just crazy how much is at stake, but that's kind of what happens when two teams separate themselves from the other two. So much in this division. A Thanksgiving treat to our listeners will be a lot of Twitter questions today. So we're going to focus on that. And, you got any Thanksgiving dish, any go-to item on the menu?
The go-to item for me would be either stuffing or deviled eggs.
Ooh, wow. Okay. Yeah, my palate is about as, dry as the Chicago Bears offense, so I won't act like I'm sitting here, throwing back deviled eggs and 10 other items, but stuffing I can get behind.
Yeah.
As well. And my brother makes a mean derby pie, which I'm looking forward to consume copious amounts of. I am purely selfish. I'm pissed the Steelers-Ravens game is canceled.
Yeah,
I mean, come on now.
That was going to be the only game to really watch.
Right. I remember the Colts on. Ironically enough, and I guess we'll just start with this. Last time the Colts were on Thanksgiving, their quarterback was hurt.
Yep.
And here we are talking about a quarterback injury. Nowhere near the severity, I think, of an Andrew Luck concussion. Back in 2016, I want to say, Scott Tolzien getting the start on Thanksgiving night against the Steelers. But Phillip Rivers did not practice today. We're recording this Wednesday. The injury report hasn't officially come out. I expect it to be very long. Frank Reich mentioned that. So we'll have to monitor that the rest of the week. With Rivers, the toe injury, which he did blocking Zadarius Smith, probably not the smartest decision for Phillip. I did appreciate his candor in saying there's a little bit something left in there from the Baltimore tackle debacle was how he phrased it. So it's good to see Phillip Rivers can laugh at himself for that play. But, right big toe, I believe. And I fully expect him to play. I mean, just, hell, shoot the damn thing up as, graphic as that might sound. But I am curious, Chris. This is a guy that we have he is not the strongest arm thrower of the football in the NFL, if that's a thing. So what little ailment to his body, what does that do fundamentally? What does that do arm strength, velocity-wise? Just curious.
Yeah.
And the right foot, he's planting on that right foot and pushing off that right foot, and we've seen some back foot throws this season not end well. So, I guess
I thought
something to watch.
I thought it was funny talking about that you tweeted while he was talking, and he says it's already weird enough. I don't think I can tweak it anymore in terms of his throwing style.
Yeah. That was another. Rivers is he's funny. Have you watched like the videos, press conferences with him?
Some of them, yeah.
He's so stoic throughout questions, and like hardly ever laughs or gets mad. I mean, it's incredible how stoic he is, because then you watch him play the game, and oh my gosh, he wears his emotions on the sleeve, which you just love. But it's been interesting getting to know him in a very, very virtual world. But yeah, that's where we're at, I guess. For people that want Jacob Eason to get more practice reps, here you go.
Yep.
Jacob Eason running the scout team today. No practice for the Colts on Thanksgiving, which is interesting. I feel like the Colts have usually practiced on Thanksgiving, but sounds like family members are getting tested and whatnot. I mean, if you're going to hang out with your family members, they're going to kind of go to the nth degree here. So, just wanted to make sure we hit the Rivers front. Sounds like good news on Braden Smith and Anthony Walker. I know some people have some questions on that. Wanted to make sure we hit on that before Twitter question time.
Yeah, like you said, it's going to be interesting seeing that list, because Frank said it's going to be long. So don't be alarmed, people. Just
whenever the head coach says it's going to be long, that means it's going to be really freaking long.
Yeah.
I saw the Chiefs today had every person on their roster practice. Jeez.
Okay. Andy Reid getting them ready.
Don't tell that to Colts fans.
All right, Twitter questions.
Yes.
Like you said, we got a lot of them. Again, thank you, everyone, for continuing to submit a lot of international ones this week. So looking forward to jumping in. We will start with Metal Militia 11. Kevin, this is a listener from out in LA.
Do it again?
Metal Militia 11.
I've had 3,700 spam calls today. Like, what? Do we just block them all?
I don't get them anymore. I don't know why. I'm
thought
lucky.
I wasn't getting them for a while. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Says, I hate to bring it up again after so many questions on Monday in regards to the officiating, but I feel like the complaints many people had were misplaced. The issue should be the consistency of officiating for other teams. For the holding calls the refs flagged the Colts for, there were equally as many they could have flagged the Packers, but they didn't. Just look at the Rodgers bomb that set up the tying field goal, and you will see 3 egregious holds that weren't called. Don't we have the right to be outraged by lopsided calls?
Boy, gosh, I'm really glad you put this one at the top of the list, Chris. Really getting me in the mood for these sort of questions. Consistency is certainly the biggest gripe that people should have with officiating, period. You know, call it on one end, call it on the other, you know. That's what you always hear in a basketball sense. And obviously the Bakhtiari, I think, had the big hold on Al-Qadim Muhammad on the play in the end zone that a lot of people are up in arms about. We talked about Bakhtiari's, false start, Tarek Glenn-esque on Sunday as well. Yeah, man. Consistency frustrates you. I don't agree with the Packers had as equally amount of holding penalties as the Colts. I'm not going to go there. I went back and watched every single holding call the Colts had and watched them again and watched them for a third time. Really, the Glowinski one, and there might have been 2 on the final drive from him, which just goes to show you how many holds the Colts had. That might have been questionable. Everyone else, honestly, a blatant hold. And the Colts now, the second most holding penalties in the league. Frank Reich mentioned today, it's a bit of a fundamental aspect that we have to improve on of the footwork is failing, and when the footwork breaks down, you get clingy and you're kind of hoping and grabbing a little bit because guys are straining and pulling away from you and whatnot. So yes, officiating consistency is what you want, but the Colts fundamentally as an offensive line have to get better.
Yeah,
and that includes the tight ends and wideouts as well,
right?
Because they've been involved with some of this too.
This one's from Louisiana guy Kevin. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family, and hope everyone is staying safe.
Same to you, and a genuine. Happy Thanksgiving to all of our listeners.
Yes.
That was not just a let's start the podcast off with a happy Thanksgiving. You guys mean a ton to us. We are very grateful that you tune in on such a consistent basis. Send in questions, all of it. I think I speak for both Chris and I and how much that means to us. So safe travels, and if you aren't able to spend time with your family, hopefully you can do it virtually, and we love you guys.
Yeah, well said. Quick question, with the toe injury to Phillip Rivers, how much do you think this will affect him, or if he has to miss a little bit of time? If this happens, God forbid, do you think Jacob Eason will start to be active and start until Phillip is healed from the injury, or do the Colts fans have to suffer from Frank Reich's decision to start Jacoby, throw the ball short, and never long Brissett?
Oh, God.
Also, what do you think we will do in the first round of the draft? I'm hoping for a quarterback, but who knows at this point, even though I think we should have gotten our guy this year.
Boy, that's a lot to unpack there. Okay, Rivers is going to start on Sunday. The guy started 234 straight games. Mm-hmm. Did you know this, Chris? He started 234. And I hate to put you on the spot, but who do you think is second active in the NFL? Quarterback.
Second active.
Start streak NFL now.
I'm just going through quickly.
It would have taken me a little bit of time to get to this person.
Oh, Stafford?
Good guess. He got hurt last year, but I think he was up there.
That's true. He was out with the quarterback.
Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
And then it's a big drop-off. It's like Wilson 170, or 130 maybe, actually. Brady at like 70 and Derek Carr like 55, 54, something like that. So it's crazy. I mean, what Rivers has done is just absurd. If he weren't able to go, Brissett would start and Eason would be the backup. Let's not, the Colts are 7-3 right now. Jacoby Brissett has done his role nicely here the last 2 weeks. He'd be the starter. As far as first round, I'm team quarterback, but, tackle depth and pseudo starting tackle once Costanza retires, / corner, edge rusher. receiver.
Yeah.
I go a lot of ways.
All right, this one's from Joe, who's a big fan of the show from London, has been for years, and appreciates your insight.
Love it.
Also, he is a father to a new baby girl as well, so he
Let's
feels
go.
your pain when it comes to being tired.
Well, best to you and your family, Joe. That's awesome.
His question is about defensive adjustments. Colts have been really impressive this season with halftime adjustments on defense. How much of this is down to the scouting and prep leading up to Sunday, plan A, plan B, etc., and how much is based on what is being seen during the game? Also, how does Eberflus compare to other defensive coordinators in Colts history in terms of these adjustments? Thanks again. Keep up the great work.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate that. Hashtag girl dad, right?
That's right.
Eberflus has done a really nice job, and the Colts, honestly, in general, have done a really good job. They're getting outscored, I think, by 10 in first quarters this year, Chris. And I want to say they've outscored their opponents in the second, third, and fourth by like 30, 28, and 15 points. Like, they've been so good after that first quarter. And, that's, I think, what we talk about a lot, and what I think, honestly, should be coaching 101 is just, how do you counter?
Yeah.
How do you react? The old Tyson quote, everybody's going to get hit in the face. How do you react to that? If you think you're just going to be stubborn and do one thing, you're going to get your ass kicked and run out of the building. So, you would like to see the Colts play better in first quarters and sometimes even first halves, but how they've been able to adjust, react, feel good about plan B, C's, and D's, great. And I don't think it's been an Eberflus staple. And I kind of go back to the Jim Irsay speech, if you will, or talk with the Colts staff after week one. Boy, I think, in all seriousness, I think that clearly resonated with them. But, I would say the Colts have done a nice job with that. Rodgers even mentioned it after the game on Sunday. The Colts brought a little bit more pressure in the second half. Leonard had that great timed blitz on a third down there, one of the first couple of possessions of the third quarter. And it goes back to, Chris, what we talked about last Wednesday and getting ready for the Packers. Most teams, it's rush 4, drop 7. But then the fine line is when you don't get home with the 4, how do you counter? And I thought the Colts did that really nicely.
All right. Question from Jabroni, another great name for the Twitter question.
And a loyal follower.
Yes. Can't wait to hear what Chris Ballard thinks of this top 5 defense. He made some moves this offseason. Are you a believer that this defense is top 5?
Boy, Chris, I know I've probably been one of the few that haven't gone full top 5 in, but they are continuing to prove me wrong. And now, giving up 31 of the Packers isn't great, but still, what you did in the second half stands out to me. It's what really is the thing that stands out the most to me. They've been a good run defense team,
right,
under Eberflus. They've done a nice job making sure teams don't hit the big plays on them, which is such a big, kind of core belief of Eberflus. It's the playmaking, taking the bleeping ball away. They haven't done that. That hasn't been, and honestly, that hasn't been a staple going back to, we're talking Caldwell teams, Pagano teams. I don't care who's Bruce Arians in 2012. I don't care who's coaching. It's been an issue. They remember all the talk about 40 turnovers and all that, and they're not going to get to 40, but I think they're on pace for 27. When people hear 27, they're like, well, what does that really mean? That would be the most for this franchise since 2007.
Wow.
I mean, that's a long time we're talking playoff teams, multiple playoff teams, an undefeated team in 2009 for so much of the season. Like, they are taking away the football at a very high rate. When Okereke and some of those guys mentioned the 40 takeaway goal, I wrote an article and looked up the recent history of this team in takeaways. They haven't finished top 10 in a season in turnovers since that 2007 season. Like, you just one time, don't you fall in and get 8th? We're talking AFC South quarterbacks.
Right.
They tend to give you the football if you want it. It's not a juggernaut of a division offensively. So for the Colts right now to be 3rd in the league with 17 takeaways, that is what's most impressive to me. And that's why I think I'll be proven wrong at the end of the year. I do think right now, I think they're like mainly like fourth-ish, third, fourth, I think, in a lot of the major defensive stuff. And, Houston's banged up at wideout right now. I don't know if that's going to really change a whole lot. Not like you're playing a bunch of Green Bays the rest of the year.
Kevin, this question is coming to us from Ted in New Zealand.
Man, we're going everywhere.
We're going all over the place.
Gosh, I love that.
What's your prediction on the record for the rest of the season? Says, I can see us winning every game, but Titans, Steelers, and Raiders would probably be tough. Blackman for Defensive Rookie of the Year, and Jonathan Taylor to get in the groove for the rest of the season.
This probably is very cliche Midwest American, but do we say down under to Ted, or is that an Australian thing?
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it just Kiwi?
Yeah, it definitely Kiwi. Ted, I don't know, man, and I'm sorry. And go ahead and stereotype me how you wish, but yeah, sorry about that. Haven't been there.
Would love to go.
So I don't know, but we were on our honeymoon in Hawaii. An Australian couple was sitting at the table with us at a luau, and they were like, "Yeah, we haven't told anyone in our family that we're here. We're gonna get married tomorrow." Well, you guys are the first people that we're telling. I'm like, "Whoa!"
Were you the best man?
I was like, "Yeah, sign me up. Maddie can be the maid of honor." Here we go. Okay, my prediction for the rest of the season.
Yes.
So where are they at right now?
7-3.
7-3. Got 6 to go.
Mm-hmm.
And that is Tennessee, Houston, Raiders, Houston, Steelers, Jags.
Yes.
So he's nervous about Titans, Steelers, and Raiders?
Yep.
I
More
got
Titans and Steelers feels like the Raiders could be a challenge.
Okay. I mean, even if you go 1-2 in those, that's still 11-5. No, yeah, 11-5 if you were to win the other 3. I said 10-6 at the start of the year, so I guess just to be stick with my record, I'll say that. But I think 11-5 is becoming more and more in picture. Houston's not going to be that easy again. The injuries with Cooks, or not Cooks, what the hell, Stills and whatever the other wideout's name is, who's halfway decent. They're a little banged up right now, but yeah, you sign up for 11-5 right now. Who?
Randall Cobb?
Yes, Cobb. Yep. Mm-hmm.
All right, we're going to jump on a plane and go from New Zealand to Texarkana.
Here we go.
Where Jordan has a question and wants to know, would you want a quarterback like Taysom Hill that's a Swiss Army knife that could make the team think twice when he gets on the field? Or also maybe a player like De'Aaron King, who played quarterback to even special teams, seems like a good player to get in 2021.
Yeah, I would like Taysom Hill. I wouldn't like him as my starter, but I definitely like him as my change of pace guy. The thing about Hill is he was undrafted. I don't want to spend a draft pick necessarily on this gadget guy, but yeah, I mean, you guys know me. I'm all about multiple versatility, unpredictable on offense. So, especially if you get more of a traditional QB, I like having a little bit of a wildcat-ish dual threat type of guy.
Colton wants to know, what are the chances that we let Autry and Houston go after the season or have them back as backups? Says they are both good players, but I would like to see our defensive line picks get some starts. And between Lewis, Toure, and Banagoo, who do you think will have the best chance at starting?
Well, I'll tell you what, man. I don't. I'm not letting Houston or Autry go right now. Are you?
Not the way they're playing. I mean, you could see the defensive pressure this past weekend, without Autry.
Yeah, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm not going there. And again, I think a lot of this comes from just the lack of what we've seen from behind them. Those younger guys.
Right.
Yeah, Tyquan, a little bit of a flash. Banagoo, nothing. And Toure we'll have to see play out. But those guys are playing a lot. Yeah, they're in their 30s. Houston, I think, is a little bit older. But on a short-term deal, I'm bringing both of them back. That group means too much to Chris Ballard, honestly. But also to me, I think you bring him back and nothing crazy, breaking the bank, but the passing of the torch process is something every GM tries to make seamless. It's not very seamless on the D line right now. It just doesn't look like that to me. I don't see this emerging out of those 3. Who has the best chance to start? Probably Lewis. I mean, Toure is never going to be a starter. I just can't see him being a first down guy, which is fine. Okay, whatever. If he can be a double-digit sack guy, that's perfectly fine, and Banagoo obviously not at all. So, yeah, I'm bringing him back.
All right, this one comes from Wednesday. Do you think the emergence of Pittman brings uncertainty to Hilton's future in Indy?
Yeah, something that we have talked, maybe a little bit, but I go back to the Campbell injury. If I want to have a couple guys I feel pretty good about at wideout moving forward, and Campbell's just the uncertain one.
Yeah.
But I'll reiterate what I said last week about T.Y. Hilton. Just he's got to accept the pay cut. He's got to accept the pay cut. I still think he is a nice receiver in this league. And really, an underrated play he made on Sunday wasn't that great catch in the red zone, which was great. And Rivers, just a beautiful ball there. The Colts had a 3rd and 13 early in that game.
Yep.
Hilton catches one, 9 or 10 yards down the field, and then kind of puts his head down and dives through a couple somewhat tackle attempts and gets the first down. Whoa, that's not something I usually see from 13.
Right.
So I like that there from Hilton. But yeah, I don't. The emergence of Pittman makes me feel better. Maybe it takes $1 million off the Hilton contract, which just sounds absurd that $1 million can just be. Oh, there you go. But I still actually would probably bring him back, Chris. And I know people disagree with me, but pay cut time.
All right, let's stick with the wide receiver core from the question from Old Daner. With the emergence of DeMichael Harris as a gadget type of wide receiver, if/when we see Campbell get back, could we see Paris be used as more of a crosser or field stretcher? In a way, it could help him stay healthy, getting yards after catch without playing near the line of scrimmage. Love the show, as always.
Well, thank you for that, Old Daner. I think that was mostly the plan for Campbell. I remember the Bucks game. Was that when he broke his foot last year? I think it was. The plan was crossers against man coverage, rub routes. It's such a big thing in today's NFL. Hell, we saw it on the 4th and 4 play to Hines. You get Campbell in space running away from man coverage. Oh boy, that can go a long way. So, yeah, I do think that is some of it. I don't know how much healthier that can keep him. I think about the way Campbell's gotten hurt. The Harrison Smith tackle was just a freak thing. But some of the other stuff is really just weird. I guess those other injuries are more freakish. The Harrison Smith thing is that happens in the NFL.
Yep.
I'm sorry. It just, guys make tackles and you get hit awkwardly, and it can be a run play, it can be a pass play, it can be a sack, whatever. I go back to that Rivers start streak. I'm like, how has the Joe Burrow hit not happened one time to Philip Rivers?
I know.
Or just an ankle
you.
roll. Yeah. And I know, the dude played with a torn ACL, but I don't know, man. It's just yeah, I don't know. Maybe his body's not flexible enough to ever get hurt or something. I don't know.
Well, quickly to that point, Dan Dockich had Naheem Hines on last week, and he asked him, do you get more nervous before a track meet or before a football game? He said, in a track meet, no one can hit me. In a football game, I know I'm going to be hit, and freak accidents happen. Yeah. So I thought that was a pretty good statement on his part.
No, that is a good point. Gosh, he's such a great interview.
He is.
Hines.
Okay, from Josh, he was wondering, is Autry out for sure against the Titans since he's on the COVID list?
Not for sure. It's 10 days for if you're asymptomatic, 14-day absence if you're symptomatic. Frank Reich won't say one way or the other. So, yeah, we'll have to see how that plays out. But if it's 10 days, he'd be able to go. But as of right now, he's not back in the building.
Longtime fan of the show, Brian asked, why does Rock's technique look so bad? He always gets burned and gets holding or pass interference calls.
It's the thing about Rock is a lot of times he's in position. It's just that final panic mode that he gets into right at the point of attack.
Yep.
Right at that just, all right, the receiver's eyes are getting big, and it's almost like Rock's eyes get big, and he gets grabby and gets panicky and just doesn't make the play right then. And the problem with that pass interference on Sunday, Chris, is he held that dude's wrist, arm, whatever you want to call it, for 15 or 20 yards. You can get away with that maybe if it's only 5, and then you get that hand off, and that now you're back to kind of running in stride with him, or you flash it up there real late. But the persistence, I think, was what really hurt him there. And, I guess something that I had questioned when Rock was drafted is, he's so much out on an island at Temple.
Yep.
At the end of the day, it's Temple. And the 3 years before that was Presbyterian. And now you're asking him to cover these guys on a down-in, down-out basis. It's just different. And is it a little bit of a better athlete across from him? Snap in, snap out. Is that been a little bit of a struggle for him just to be – he's had some really nice moments, and the pick was incredible on Sunday. But I just think it's a little bit of – and he would say that his footwork breaks down early in a route, and that forces him to get handsy. So I think that is I don't think he's getting burnt. I'm not like Greg Toller, it's a 5-yard gap between receiver and corner, but yeah, he's been a little bit better this year in his coverage rate, but not where you'd want him.
This one's from Clayton. It says people bash on Rivers a lot, but he's played really well the last few weeks. What do you think the Colts record would be to this point if the following quarterbacks were at the helm and we did not have Rivers? All right, he lists 5 here. Nick Foles.
Wait. So he wants these 5 quarterbacks are going to be the quarterback of the Colts here in 2020.
Correct.
He wants win totals?
Yes.
All right, let's go one by one here.
Nick Foles.
Jeez. 3.
Ooh.
I think Foles stinks.
I think a lot of Chicago fans would agree with you. Justin Herbert.
5.
Jacoby Brissett.
4.
Jordan.
5.
Okay. Jordan Love.
Oh, low. 3.
Tom Brady.
6. 6. Yeah.
Okay.
Brady's got a lot of talent down there in Tampa. I mean, Rivers been pretty good, man.
He has been.
So, yeah. That was That's an interesting one.
Yeah, because it's caveat. Obviously, if you're getting Herbert, you're trading up with that 13 pick. So we do not have DeForest Buckner on this team
okay.
either.
Well, I might go one lower on Herbert there. I kind of forgot about that. Yeah, and I guess Love might fall in the same category. I mean, Love had so much rawness. I mean, he doesn't even dress for Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
They got Boyle or whatever his name is as their backup.
All right, Mac heard Max Kellerman on Monday basically brush off the Colts' win versus the Packers, saying we were one bad fumble away from winning it, which is true, but I'd argue that they wouldn't have had that opportunity had we not had so many holding penalties. Do you believe that this game was about us willing ourselves to victory or a Packers collapse?
Do you believe this game? Well, man, when I think of the one bad fumble, I think of Rodgers on the exchange more than I think of Valdez-Scantling. I mean, that was just a great play by Blackman. Yeah, it's a bad fumble, but, I mean, honestly, the more egregious fumble happens, much earlier in that game. The Packers had 4 turnovers. When you look up any team in the NFL that has 4 turnovers in a game, their win percentage is probably, 0.1. It can't be very good. But still, I think you got to give the Colts some credit here. I mean, that third quarter was one of the finer third quarters of football you're ever going to see against an opponent like that. And you got yourself in the game. Green Bay, they had chances to put it away. Those 2 third quarter drives, like I was saying on Monday, if you get down 3 scores, in my opinion, the game's over. Like, the Colts are not coming back and win that football game. So your ability to get off the field there and then cash in on your own drives were huge. So yeah, I'm not going there. It's interesting when you look back at these 2 wins here, Titans and Packers. I don't have the numbers in front of me, Chris, but the Colts have definitely trailed more than they've led in those 2 games. Yet they have made some massive, massive plays to change it.
Yeah.
And you hear the old saying, some of these NFL games, they're so damn close. They come down to 4 or 5 plays. If you make them, that's the difference. And so, that was a very close game. It could have gone either way. But at the end of it, you got it done. Mm-hmm. And it's just it's like the IU Penn State thing. I mean, you imagine if Penix had that ball out of bounds, or if it was called out of bounds, I think it was out of bounds. I mean, that could totally change your trajectory of the season. Penn State hasn't won.
Yeah.
Since. And now IU is like, ready to hang a banner. Like, it's just, it's wild how so small it can be.
All right. Stan says, it's never too early to talk quarterbacks in the draft, even coming off the heels of those big playoff heavyweights. Have early returns on Herbert and Josh Allen affected your quarterback evaluation process at all? Are you leaning heavier towards traits and less on accuracy?
Sam, that's a fair question. I'll say I'll dive a lot more into this stuff in the offseason. Herbert and Allen, the thing that's so interesting to me is they just played in such awful weather in college, which I know is kind of weird to say, but and Allen plays in awful weather, I guess, now, so maybe that was a reason why Buffalo liked him so much. It's so hard to really project these QBs. It's Mahomes going from a crazy offense to being an NFL stud, and people don't love the Watson interceptions he had at Clemson, yet he won like none other, and he's the third quarterback taken, I think, in that draft class. I would say the trait that I continue to be more fond of is just, can you make plays off script? Can you make plays that are not the first and second read? And that is a great progression human, masterful and knowing where the football should go when on the whiteboard it might not be first or second option. That can be a way off script. And then secondly, obviously with your legs, can you get out of a pocket? Can you make a play like that? Can you avoid a sack? Those are the traits that just, create a player in Madden, those sorts of things. That's what you want.
All right, Sam wants to know if you could get the first pick in this year's draft, but you would have to trade all of your other picks, would you do it?
No, I don't love Trevor Lawrence that much. No.
Matt's question for this week's pod is, what are the chances the Colts re-sign Phillip Rivers for 2021?
Oh, they're high. Really high. 82%, 86%. Yeah. I mean, I always thought they were high, and I mean, now you're sitting here at Thanksgiving and you're 7-3, and Rivers has played very satisfactory football. I would say a little bit above that. Yeah, the Colts were always going to be pro re-sign Rivers. They always were, much more so than the common fan.
Yeah,
and me.
This one's from Zach. How about the production from this offseason's acquisitions? Pittman, Taylor, Blackman, Blankenship, Buckner, Rivers. Would like to hear your thoughts on the clock management and the 7 total flags on the Colts' last possession in regulation.
We talked about that on Monday a little bit, Zach, about those rookies. Another spam call. I'm done with you. Don't call me again. God bless it.
What do you have? You have student loans. You have a credit score.
I mean, shit. God. Hope Maddie and Rosie are okay, but jeez. Yeah, we talked about the rookies on Monday. Clock management, 7 total flags. And I've gotten some pushback from the Colts on my clock management take, but I'm going to stand by it. I like the 4th and 4 call at the Hines. I think we maybe referenced this on Monday, but to me it had a bit of a 4th and 2 2009 Belichick feel.
Yes. You
don't want to give the ball to that quarterback. Now, the field position's much different than Belichick in 2009, but still, it's a let's keep it and don't kick the field goal, go up 6. Let's just try and run it all out. So if you're going to take that approach, I don't then get the 3rd and 20 Rivers in the shotgun 6-step drop with Rivers when you have a backup tackle in the game. Like, it is a split second away from Zadarius Smith forcing a fumble there and you losing that football game.
Mm-hmm.
And we would be, can you imagine some of the takes?
Yeah.
On Frank Reich and company for that. So I get being aggressive in 4-minute offense. I like being aggressive more than not. Now, when I say aggressive, I say you throw it, but they need to be high freaking percentage throws. Screens, dumps, quick out, whatever you want to call, safety valves, security blankets. Those need to keep that clock moving.
Yes.
That is the biggest thing. And I thought the Colts played with fire just a little bit more. I mean, hell, the Doyle play could have been picked. And I know there's some Green Bay fans that are like, Jair Alexander is a really good corner. They're like, to be an elite corner, you pick that ball off and you take it back and win the game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but it was close to that happening. I mean, if you watch that Green Bay sideline react to him, I mean, it's like,
yeah,
boy, that's one that you really wish you could have back.
Yeah, he snuck it in there for sure. Okay, Richard has a two-parter, so I'll break it down first for you, Kev.
Okay.
This one's first starting off with, was this Jonathan Taylor's breakout game? He feels like he looked much better at finding the gaps and making the big runs.
Yeah. I think it qualifies as that.
Secondly, if Pittman continues playing the way that he has since coming back from the injury, do we finally have a number one wideout to replace Hilton when he is done? Still buzzing off of that great win.
Keep the buzz going, Richard. Throw him back here on Thanksgiving while you're at it. Yeah, I mean, Pittman has shown me some number one traits. Definitely, Chris. And I thought when he was drafted, I thought he had number one ability and relatively early in his career. And the thing is, which I think should be so exciting to Colts fans, I think there's more in there. You and I talked about it with Beers with Bone a few weeks ago. Those 50-50 plays. I just got off with Dan Doc, or I guess Rakestraw filling in for Dan today. The red zone has been an issue for this team this season. That's where Pittman, I think, back shoulder throws, 50-50 stuff, 6'4", 220 frame.
Yes.
Yeah, the speed on a crosser is great, and that's awesome, and it's been exciting to see, but, like, that body itself can be used in that area of the field. So, yeah, I agree with that, Richard.
Colin says, the next time you speak with Ballard, tell him the Colts fans demand a tackle taken in the first 3 rounds of the 2021 draft. Also remind him Costanzo contemplated retirement this past season. Big win for the shoe.
Preach, Colin. Honestly, it's such a big need. You guys know that was my biggest shock of the offseason. I said this, back in April or May, and obviously it's worked out very well, but I'm curious if Josh Jones, the tackle out of Houston, he went a few picks before Blackman. If he still would have been on the board, what would have happened there? Now, obviously, hindsight is great how it played out for the Colts, but, if Malik Hooker doesn't tear his Achilles, all those factors play into it. But, yes, an offensive tackle in the first 3 rounds, yes, a lot.
This is from Primus. Autry and Braden Smith were greatly missed. The defensive line was missing a bit of that live wire spark, and the O-line lacked total coordination. Do we get any update on the nature or duration of Smith's injury? Because we will need him against the Titans. Yeah,
it just sounded like he didn't feel totally comfortable bracing it, wrapping it. I don't know what other terminology you want to throw in there for how they could have protected that thumb. When you hear offensive line thumb injury, you're like, it's a thumb. These guys are going to play.
Mm-hmm.
And, as Big Joe was talking earlier today, well, maybe honestly they should have clubbed up the entire offensive line, then they wouldn't have held.
I do love a good club on a lineman.
With 72, he gets hurt in Thursday's practice. It's 72 hours for you to find a way to get that dude to play.
Right.
That's a tough dude. That was odd to me. It's weird. Sounds like he's going to play. Last year he had surgery on a Monday for a thumb injury and played that Sunday. Surgery. I don't get it, man.
No, not in a position where your hands is that's what you use. Matt says, great team win on Sunday. Just one question. Any indication what the range or length of Blankenship has? Is short from 50 a worry or just a one-time thing?
Okay, so I wrote this on 1075thefan.com as well. I think it's my Tuesday notebook, but just briefly to summarize. He's got range to 55, Frank Reich says. I've seen him make kicks north of that in practice, and I know Frank has as well. Frank said, I think, up to 60 he's seen in practice. I went back and looked at his college kicks. I think as long as 4 seasons at Georgia was like 49, 53, 55, and 50. So clearly, and you're kicking much more outside in college than you are inside. And he said this to Pat McAfee early in the week. We all have been there. Chris Presley, I've heard about his golf game. He just chunked it.
True.
Flat out. Chunked it, folks. He basically said that he's working on kicking the ball lower on the longer kicks to get the ball higher, create more elevation. Mm-hmm. Any golfer knows the lower you hit the golf ball, the higher it's going to go. things like that. Well, the byproduct is you can chunk it, and that's what he did. And if you look at that spin, it's a little bit weird on it, and so that's what happened there. So I guess where I'm not worried about his length. Again, he's not freaking Matt Prater, Harrison Buckner, but he's got enough of a leg to be. I mean, hell, to be honest with you, I'd say every 6A kicker in this state can probably make a 50-yard field goal. Like length, hell, we all had the friend in 8th grade that's like, I can make a 45-yard field goal, like everyone's got that. Where I am a little bit concerned is just mentally, where is he at now? Because if you need him for a 48-yarder, now is he thinking, well, I want to kick it lower because I want to get it up so they don't block it, but now I just missed the one from 50 because I chunked it. Like, it's just the mind games that, again, you guys have heard me rant about kickers. There's no worse position. No worse position to be in sports. Kicker, nope. College kicker is the worst thing in the history of athletics. Why would you ever want to be a college kicker?
You're spot on with that. All right, from Colts Mexico, with Pittman, Taylor, and Blackman all really coming on as the season progresses, how do people not think that Ballard is the top GM in the NFL? Just look at his drafts. In 17, Mack, Stewart, Walker. 18, Nelson, Leonard, Braden Smith, Tyquan Lewis, Hines, Wilkins. 2019, Rock, Okereke, Kari. 2020, Pittman, Taylor, Blackman, Rogers. Just seems like he rarely misses.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's drafted incredibly well. I would say I think we might be a hair early on just Lewis and Rock. And to be frank, I mean, Jonathan Taylor's not lived up to 41st overall pick. I mean, you traded up for the guy. He hasn't lived up to that yet. So those are the names I would disagree with. But I mean, Ballard's drafting ability. It's why I've said this so many times. The foundation is just on great ground. It's on great ground with these drafts. You have got to draft well, and they've done that. And now, but when he says, "How do people not think Ballard is a top GM in the NFL?" There's got to be a win-loss element that factors into that as well. It's something to where you don't purely get graded on drafts. Like, there's roster building still has to translate on the field as well, and that's kind of the wait-and-see approach. So, when you're talking assessing talent, finding guys for your system, those sorts of things, Ballard has checked that box. Now it's about the total package, completing that with other roster moves, and then ultimately, making runs in the month of January. You've won one playoff game in 3 years. No one is going to be called the best GM in football with that resume, which is fine. We're 3 years into it. We don't need to crown people, but I totally understand why people don't think he's the top GM in football.
Mm-hmm. Brent wants to know what your assessment was of Chaz Green playing right tackle this past weekend. Says he was crushed when he saw the news about Braden Smith was out and Clark initially replaced him. Seems like the protection was good. The Packers had good coverage and blitz calls when they did get pressure on Rivers.
Yeah, he was. Green was better than Clark, which, boy, I don't know if that's saying much, but I mean, he was good. He was acceptable. Is how I would say it. Now, the Green Bay front is nothing to write home about, but still, the pass protection to me, Chris, we haven't talked about it enough. It's been outstanding this season. So, and that's a credit to Phillip Rivers as well. But I thought Clark, considering the lack of playing time he's had in a couple of years, I thought he held up.
Jorge wants you to explain to a foreign fan why in the hell were so many Packer fans at the game on Sunday. I mean, it seemed like there were around 20 to 25% of the crowd. Where are the Colts fans, and why so quiet?
I mean, you were in the building, man. I mean, it looked a lot of green and yellow to me.
A lot, and I would say it was above the 25%. Now, I got a little rash at the game, and I tweeted out, we need to start packing it. But as you explained on Monday's podcast, and it does make sense, this is the closest game that the Green Bay Packers fans were able to attend this year.
It was, and I don't even think the Vikings or Bears are allowing fans, to that point. Lambeau is not just the one.
Or Detroit, so.
Yeah, so that plays into it. The last thing I will do is tell people how to spend their money in a pandemic. I do find it interesting that it seems like the Colts have struggled to sell out their 12,500 allotment each week.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that would be relatively easy to do. The home crowds were not great in recent years. And again, I am fully understanding how expensive it is to go to a sporting event, and I'm very fortunate not to have to pay that money. But yeah, it's interesting to me that like it seems like every week they struggle to get to that 12,500 number. And I thought, considering how big the state is and Colts fans all around, that they'd be able to get there, especially with games like Baltimore. And I mean, the whole Green Bay thing, you totally understand it. I mean, someone's just like, oh yeah, I'm going to buy season tickets and sell my Packers ticket, and that'll pay for the rest of the season tickets.
Yeah,
like people did that, which whatever, rightly or wrongly, who knows.
But yeah, good home slate of games this year for the Colts. This is from Trenton. Is there a scenario where the Colts move up in the draft and draft a quarterback and also bring back Rivers? He's definitely turned it around in the second half of the season so far. Games 1 through 5, 4 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. Games 6 through 10, 10 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, one being that Marcus Peters interception and another one being a tipped ball.
Oh, yeah. I think it's possible. Yeah, definitely. I think it's very possible. Honestly, that's the route that I think is probably most realistic for the Colts. Yeah.
Chris asks, is Eberflus going to be a head coaching candidate this offseason?
Well, candidate certainly. I just don't know, Chris, if he's going to get a job. You mind pulling up the NFL standings real fast and just I'm curious, like, again, where are these openings going to be? We talked about Atlanta. Are they going to bring back Raheem Morris?
Morris has played. Morris has coached very well.
So, that's sometimes you see that. We saw it in Jacksonville with the Doug Marrone thing. Hell, Jacksonville could be open. So, I mean, what? We got Jacksonville and the Jets. I mean, where else are the opening?
You got Jacksonville and the Jaguars.
Houston.
Or, Jacksonville and the Jets. The Bengals coach is still fairly new.
Yeah, they're not firing Zach Taylor. Houston will be open.
Ron Rivera is not going to get fired after 1 year in Washington.
I mean, Joe Judge isn't going to get fired. I don't think Doug Peterson would get fired. I don't.
Hell, all the NFC East, even though they have 3 wins, they're still fighting for a playoff spot.
Yeah, as shocking as that is. So, yeah, I don't know, man. Anthony Lynn, he's going to keep his job, but unless we're totally forgetting someone. But
that's what's going to be weird is the fact that there are a lot of bottom feeders this year. But the coaching carousel is not going to be as big as it typically is.
I mean, the coach is typically only been there for about a year. So, and certainly we've seen head coaches get fired after just 1 year. But I just don't know if there's going to be a lot of openings. Mm-hmm. And so then you look at that, and you look at where Eberflus would fall on a candidate list, because it will take a unique owner and GM to make that hire. It will take an outside-the-box thinking, because the new normal in the NFL is, hire Sean McVay's mailman, or hire, someone that's this young quarterback mind that we can groom. So it's going to have to take some outside of the box.
Kevin Jacobs says, all right, it's time to say that this 2020 Colts defense is better than the 2006 Super Bowl defense.
Ooh.
Let's break it down.
Ooh.
D-line outside of Mathis and Freeney, I think overall this D-line is better. Linebackers, Leonard Walker, Okereke take the matchup. Secondary might have to give it to the 2006 team with Bethea, Sanders, Marlon Jackson, Kelvin Hayden, but that's it. My vote is the 2020 defense. What do you think?
Yeah, Jacob, the 2006 defense really struggled in the regular season. So, and part of that was Bob Sanders being out.
Yeah.
Rob Morris inserted the starting lineup late in the year, and that kind of turned it around. I mean, Irsay says it's the best defense since 95.
High praise.
He's dialed it way back. I hear you on your D-line, but, I'm sorry, man. Freeney and Mathis, I'm going with them. They're the ones that make you I can load the box. I can stop the run. They stop the run in the playoffs, and then you got to worry about 98, 93 on pass downs.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Have fun standing back there.
Start the stopwatch and pray. It's that 2006 defense, when you think about it, Chris, they go on the road the second round of the playoffs and play in Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
And they hold Baltimore to 6 points.
Yep.
We're talking an NFL playoff team scoring 6 points. The Colts didn't score a touchdown that day.
Yeah,
you imagine the Colts lose that game and the ridicule on Peyton.
Yeah.
For another bowing out, you don't do enough as a quarterback, offensively, whatever you want to say it. And it's another year of having to deal with that. But your defense just flat out incredible in that performance. It's and that's the resume defining run of Peyton's career. It's just crazy how it all works out. Yeah, I don't know. The 2006 defense was so different. And when you do it on the big stage like that, it's just this defense is damn good though. This is a very good defense. Very good defense. But I don't know if I can go full there.
Well, let's hope that we find out.
Oh boy.
Come playoff time.
Yes.
All right, from John, Kevin, this team looks more complete every week. Pittman is showing wide receiver 1 upside. Taylor drawing attention with his big play potential. Blackman should solidify Defensive Rookie of the Year. And not to mention Rodgers, Glasgow, and Hot Rod. Where do you rank the 2020 draft class compared to 17, 18, and 19's classes? Is it fair to say that this class will surpass 18 if Eason does end up getting the starting job?
Well, he's got to do something with the starting job. You can't just get it. You got to certainly perform, but that would go a long way. 2018 is still in a different stratosphere, with what Nelson and Leonard and Braden Smith and Nyheim Hines have given you out of that draft class, and even Lewis and Wilkins and maybe Turay as well. So I would say, though, second. I would. 17 is just a mixed bag. Mack and Stewart, solid. Walker, solid. But, obviously all those swings and misses in the early part of that. So I'd put that last. 19, I'd probably put second. But then again, I think about 19, I'm like, well, Campbell, iffy, Rock, okay. Okereke, I think is pretty good. Who else in that 19 draft? Let me pull that up. Yeah, I would say 2020 would be second.
Okay.
On that list. And really, I don't think there's a whole lot of debate. I think I DJ Speed. Oh, Kari Willis, duh. Yeah, Willis would be. Yeah, I still feel good about going 20 as the second team.
All right. Jordan can't help but wonder how this offense would look with Paris Campbell. Do you think there's a chance he could get back sooner rather than later?
From someone I trust wholeheartedly, no. I think it's a long shot. And I think about that a lot.
Yeah.
What this offense would look like with Paris Campbell. Yeah, I was told originally kind of 3-month range, and they would not push it at all. So
be smart with it, yeah.
Yeah, maybe you get to the playoffs and something's changed in that last month. But think about the Turay injury. They felt like the final step was the hardest for him, getting all the way back. It's not the same injury, of course, but if that's the case with Campbell, you'll worry about that.
Matt wants to know what the hell is going on with Quentin. He's been.
I'm not going to ask him that.
I won't either, but he's been underwhelming this year, nowhere near his previous 2 years that he's played at.
Yeah, Matt, I think that's honestly a fair assessment. And obviously, when you say nowhere near his previous 2 years, that was first ballot Canton-like. But he hasn't been there. I've had people ask me, is it the back injury kind of lingering? I think today he didn't practice. We'll look at the official injury report. But, 5 holding penalties through 10 games. He had 3 all last year. I think he had 6 as a rookie. So he's going to break that, you would think, which isn't great. I filled in for J&V yesterday. We had on Sam Monson, who's the Pro Football Focus lead NFL analyst. And he said Nelson is really graded low for them this season. So, it's been a bit disappointing for Nelson. I don't know. The Colts just announced DeForest Buckner on the COVID-19 list.
Oh boy,
so we'll have to see how that plays out.
Man,
boy, that's not good. Yeah, that's definitely not good. So we'll see. Like I was saying earlier about the Autry thing, if indeed Buckner tested positive, then 10-day absence for asymptomatic, 14-day absence for symptomatic. Colts have at Texans, I think it is, next week. So, we'll see. We'll see how this all plays out. Colts have been. Frank Reich obviously didn't mention anything about this earlier today, but who knows? Is it a high risk, close contact? Does he test positive? Did he test positive? There's several things to look for here, but I believe him and Autry. I think that's it. And guys that have tested positive. Buckner was not one of the guys that missed practice last week when Autry tested positive. It was Grover Stewart, Tyquan Lewis, and
was it Muhammad?
Muhammad, yes, thank you. Were the three guys that I think missed practice last week. So interesting, man. It was kind of inevitable. Colts have had much better luck than I think a lot of other teams this year. So we'll see how this plays out the rest of the week.
Yeah, everyone out there, if you have a Twitter, obviously follow KBowen1070. He will keep you posted on that news. All right, this one's from Gary. I guess the lines are blurred with Nick Sirianni and Frank. Could you assist in explaining their roles, and how would you grade Sirianni this season? Happy Thanksgiving to you, Team Bowen and Chris. Never would miss a podcast. Go Colts.
I love it. It's hard to really know. I'd say Sirianni's the game planner and Wright calls the plays. To kind of simple it down, grading Nick Sirianni, unless you're inside the building, it's kind of hard to truly know, which I think is difficult in hiring a non-play caller like that. I'd say, the offense has been solid. I don't know. Maybe solid's too nice of a compliment, but yeah, I don't want to kind of overstep my boundaries there and just try and predict what Nick Sirianni's doing behind the scenes.
Yeah. All right, 3 more. This one's from Brian. Couple questions. Number 1, where do you think the Colts would be right now if they had not paid Rivers and Jacoby was still the starter? Number 2, going back to the 2012 draft, knowing what you know now with how things turned out with Luck, would you still draft him number 1 overall, re-sign Manning and use the pick elsewhere, or go RG3, but knowing what we know now, it didn't turn out well for him either?
Trying to multitask here at the tweet. Okay, who would you draft if I knew what happened in 2012?
Yes.
But I know how it's all played out since?
Mm-hmm. Knowing what you know now with how things turned out with Luck, would you still draft him number 1
I'd be
overall?
a great GM if that was the case. Hell, I'd draft Tannehill, right? I don't know. I mean, it's sounds crazy, but I don't know. Would you? I guess maybe you just re-sign Peyton. What do you get, about 4 years out of Peyton? I still don't know if you won a Super Bowl if you re-sign Peyton. I think you were losing some guys around him. I mean, those Denver teams were damn good around Peyton. I don't think the Colts would have been able to sustain that. So as absurd as it sounds, I probably would draft Tannehill.
Imagine if you traded back that pick, imagine what you could get in return with Luck coming out. I mean,
right. I mean, you could have got what someone asked me earlier about trading the whole draft for Trevor Lawrence.
Right. This one's from Wyatt. Colts versus Titans isn't the only big game in Lucas Oil Stadium this weekend. Any predictions on the IHSAA state championships this upcoming week?
Here we go. Well, we got the Irish in the nightcap.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's the Irish going to roll. They will. I feel confident about that. It's been a while since Cathedral's won a state title, though. And the running back, I've passed his house. He kind of lives by me. So,
okay.
Jake something or other. I can't say I know his parents, but 3A, we got a house divided at the Bowen house. So Brad Bowen's a Danville grad. Colleen Bowen is a Chittard grad. So my dad has been staying in an Airbnb all week.
Wow.
Yeah, house divided there. They are not getting along. So we'll see what happens. That'll be a big one there. Maddie Bowen went Chittard as well. So it might be, Danville doesn't, they haven't been on this stage. So I might be siding here with Team Brad.
A lot of familiar names this year in the state championships.
And it sounds like Center Grove's going to roll. Sounds like they could beat, Michigan and Penn State this year.
They are damn good. All right. Well, that will do it for Twitter questions. Thanksgiving week edition. Thank you to everyone again for submitting those. Now let's jump into it, Kev. 3 keys for the Colts' victory this weekend against the Titans.
Yeah, key number 1 for me, don't sleep on Derrick Henry. We talked about it earlier, man. That fourth quarter comes around, and it's just a different breed. And the Colts were up by 10 for a large majority of that fourth quarter. Back in, whatever it was, week 10. It was just 2 weeks ago, wasn't it? So
Yep.
I would say that's the biggest key for me. 2, exploit the injuries. Again, they are a banged-up unit. Yes, the Colts dealing with, a situation here. We'll see how the Buckner thing plays out. But they still are more banged. Even if Buckner misses, they are more banged up than you are. So can you take advantage of a third-string left tackle? Can you run the ball effectively with Clowney out of the lineup? Those things. And then lastly, I would just say seize it. I mean, this is the Colts haven't won a division since 2014. This is a sit on the platter in your own building type of boxing analogy. This can be the knockout punch. This can be a fatal blow to the Titans and the rest of the AFC South. And so what an awesome opportunity. You know, you would sign up for this at the start of the season. You say week 12, you're going to play a game in your own building where you win it and you've got nearly a 90% chance to win the division. I love it. You know, that's why we love the sport, and certainly why the Colts have gotten to this moment with just not being able to kind of take advantage, I think, of past years when you started 5-2 last season, and then you bottomed out from there. You know, they haven't been in this position late November very often. They've kind of got off to slow starts. So usually it's kind of mid-December Texans game that means a whole lot, not late November Titans game. But here we are, man.
Right. Okay. Prediction time.
So 3.5 point favorite?
Yes.
Is that what I've seen?
Yep. That was the last that I saw, at least.
I'll go Colts, 24-17.
Okay. I think I'm going to flip-flop you.
You going Titans?
I think I'm going to go Titans.
Wow, man, you've been loyal to the Colts this year.
I have been, but...
Is this a pessimistic fan comment coming out, or what is this?
Some of this, and I know you don't like rituals and things of that nature.
Yeah, I'm not a big...
Last week I picked the Packers.
Oh, gosh.
You're
going there.
No, so... Honestly, it comes down to a quick shuffle in my head, just back to the DeForest Buckner. I mean, that's going to be, I think, huge, obviously, in the run game. So if he's not playing, Derrick Henry could potentially run for a good amount of yards. I mean, he did the first time anyway. But
hello, Tyquan Lewis. You know?
Yeah.
And obviously you got to look at the Autry situation. We'll see how that plays out. So we will see how all of this unfolds. No Colts media availability till Friday, which really is a bummer, but that's just the life that we're at. So, All right, man. Happy Thanksgiving.
You as well.
Enjoy a little bit of time away. Appreciate you coming in and recording this. And we'll be back Monday.
Yep.
And then we get into it, man, every Sunday. The Colts have that game announced, the Texans date officially on that Sunday afternoon, December 20th. So all Sunday games from here on out. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and we'll talk to you Monday.